You're watching Morning at NTV.
Welcome back to Morning at NTV, and many thanks for staying with us. My name is Romeo Busiku. We are getting into our Kickstarter conversation of the day. How best can community insurance schemes build resilience? We are also talking about how technology can help grow insurance uptake. So many people would love to get insured, but how many have the money to buy premiums and so forth? And how many have even information on insurance to begin with? So many Ugandans do not know anything about insurance or the benefits of insurance. You've been seeing issues of buildings collapsing. What are the odds that the owner might have hospital bills for you who has been affected? But if you had some kind of insurance, life insurance, you'd be getting some kind of reprieve from a company like AYO Insurance. Well, the COVID-19 pandemic has exposed deficiencies in our health systems and also showed why we can no longer afford to live hand to mouth. Only a healthcare bill away from financial ruin. Now, why we can no longer afford to live? Yes, we are going to be talking about that and a lot more. And to speak to us, I have two gentlemen who are putting in the world to promote insurance update in Uganda. We have Frederick Makaire, the Executive Director for Save for Health Uganda, a community health insurance advocate. And we also have Mr. Alan Luanga, the CEO of AYO Insurance, a digital insurer. Gentlemen, welcome to Morning at NTV.
It's such a pleasure.
And morning to the viewers.
So we have Mr. Makaire and Mr. Alan all together. Let's start with you, Mr. Makaire. Let's talk about the state of insurance in Uganda.
Yeah, so health insurance generally, penetration is still low, but specifically concerning health insurance, it is even much lower. So around, I think penetration is about not more than 5% generally, which is still very low. But when it comes to health insurance specifically, probably we are talking about less than 3% countrywide. So it is still very low in terms of coverage, and yet in terms of helping people to mitigate against risks, especially health-related risks and the cost of healthcare, it helps a lot. It plays a big part in terms of making sure that people can easily access healthcare. They can cover the bills, the cost of the bills, including very expensive bills. So it is still low in terms of coverage, but also the knowledge and understanding about health insurance, its appreciation, and the experiences, especially the past experiences, have not favored the growth of insurance right now in the country. So we are still trying at that level. But we have, for me, where I come from, the community health insurance schemes. This is actually even very much new in the people's mind, especially those in the formal sector and the rural informal sector. This is very new.
What do they have to know about the community health insurance schemes?
In fact, they confuse it a lot with savings. They have been very much exposed with savings. So some of them it's very hard to distinguish between savings and health insurance. Because health insurance, what they need to know is that it is a pooling. We pool resources together. Whereas in savings, people don't pool. You save your money and you can use that money when you have a problem. In a pool, money ceases to belong to you, it belongs to the group of people. So we cover cost of care depending on your need at that time, as opposed to what you put in the pool. And that still confuses a lot of people. And so generally, there is a lot of gap in terms of knowledge and understanding of health insurance, and we need to invest a lot in health insurance education across the country. Not only the rural people, but also in the urban. Not only those in formal employment, but also those without formal employment.
Let me also bring in Alan Luanga, the CEO of AYO Insurance, a digital insurer. Mr. Alan Luanga, why do Ugandans keep shunning insurance? Would like to know.
The truth of the matter is, in my view, insurance is still very far from the insuring public. And I think the best analogy for this is to relate it to how mobile money came into Uganda. Sometimes people say mobile money came and took over the space of banking, but that's not true. It actually came and addressed the un- or underbanked in the country. And that is pretty much the same thing with insurance. Today, somebody out there, what we call the underprivileged people, they are forced to have no choices. And the truth of the matter is they don't have choices because they don't know where to find these choices. They are not enabled. So when you start talking about where you're going to go and buy your insurance plan, what you're going to talk about, what language is it in, the person on the other side of the table, what do they look like, what kind of paperwork are they going to give you to sign, fine print, etc. All those things become a bit cumbersome and scary for the general public, you see. But when you talk about like penetration in the region, we are the lowest, I think we only have a 1% penetration compared to, say, Kenya, which is at 6%, or countries like South Africa, which are at maybe 16, 17%. But the best idea now is to start trying to find how traditional insurers can reach out to that person who's down there. I'm a construction worker. I'm working on a site. You know, I'm actually a daily wage earner. So I'm just lucky to have this job. At the end of the day, I'll be given 3,000, 4,000 shillings to take home. Chances are the person who's employing me there is not going to think about a workman's compensation for me, or try to make sure that, God forbid, if something falls from up on the building and it hits me, I'll be taken to hospital. So these guys also, the owners of those construction sites, will just have you know, they'll just be gambling. They'll say, you know, I'll wait for the occurrence to happen. When it happens, I'll take that person and take care of them. But that's a very big risk, you see. So digital, I think
lives might get lost.
Absolutely. I mean, buildings are falling down and they're hitting people, and then before you know it, people are getting money from their own pocket to look after these people. But there are simple solutions. The only problem with those solutions is, how do they reach the people? If you're going to get a traditional insurer to go and reach out to all these people, start writing down their names, give them papers to sign, it becomes too monotonous and cumbersome to administer. That's why now people like us in Iowa, we are looking at digital solutions. You see, we're saying, when mobile money came, it gave you power to have a bank in your pocket. Now, can you have also insurance in your pocket? And that's the whole concept of digital insurance.
Let's talk about the negative perceptions that have led to this low penetration in the insurance schemes. What are some of those stereotypes and negative perceptions? We'd like to know.
Now, I think probably, obviously, I think around the 80s or the 90s, the 80s and the 70s, obviously the insurance sector collapsed. Uganda was going through a tumultuous time. If you look in the Western world, chances are your parents have an insurance plan. So because of that, you most probably learn to get an insurance plan yourself. It's passed down from generation to generation. We don't have that. Most of our parents are not insured. They don't really trust the system in itself. I don't think insurers also have played a very big, well, we are trying now. There's so many initiatives taking place in the industry today. But maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, there are not as many as that, to reach out to the public and sensitize them and give more awareness. If you look today, one of the biggest initiatives that has come as a breakthrough is motor third party, which is the most common insurance plan out there. Today, you can actually pay for motor third party using your mobile phone. That's how simple and easy it has become for everybody. I mean, you're stopped by a cop, you're asked whether you have motor third party, and then you can actually buy it. This is all thanks to UIA and IRA who have come up with these initiatives. So you buy an insurance plan on the go, on your phone. That's making it accessible. So when we get out of that whole accessibility problem, the awareness problem, then we get into problems of social insurance.
Indeed.
I am here, my colleague Makang, if I get a problem, God forbid I lost somebody on the village, he will not even go to work. He has to stay home and come and help me. I mean, where I come from, I know a gentleman who owns a taxi. And every time there's somebody who has died on the village, that gentleman is ready to take people. So then I just ask myself, man, so yeah, that day there's no work. That's his contribution. So that is social insurance. So now social insurance also contributes a very large role in terms of competing with normal insurance. But it is not sustainable, obviously.
Romeo, I just wanted to say one thing, that in terms of negative perception, I think in the past we had a very cumbersome process of claims. Claim clearance was a big problem. And I think now that we are getting into digital platforms, I think that is going to change a lot. But otherwise, if that wasn't coming, then a lot of people were thinking when you pay insurance, and
they were complaining too much, Mr. Makaide, that they were saying, because I was an insurer in 2011, I did some kind of insurance as an agent. Some of the challenges, I'm telling you, Alan and Makaide, you go to someone, you're trying to sell them insurance, and then they tell you, I tried this, I was paying premium, but then nothing happened. For years, you pay premium, nothing happens. And they also say when they're plagued by problems, getting a claim is a big break. It's a big problem. They were contending that getting the premium is very easy from them. But then getting the claim to the client, they have to pull ropes. There are investigations that are expedited. It's a long process to get the money. So how can this be rectified, Makaide?
I think, one, we have to accept that actually one of the reasons why there are those conditions, especially making it difficult to access and make claims with health, for example, is because the capacity to pay premiums is low. People are not able to pay the actual premiums that would be enough to cover the cost of the risk. That is partly one of the reasons. And that is why we put those conditions that sometimes make it difficult for people to access. But also, there is a lot of adverse selection. There is a lot of moral hazards in the insurance industry. There is a lot of cheating. I'll give an example of health. You go to a family, you register, and maybe they say, we are paying for 5 people.
Yeah.
Then they give you the 5. First of all, they will choose those that have a higher likelihood of falling sick, even if it means picking from the neighbors. So they make a family of 5. Now, once they have put this, the family of 5 on the insurance, then when it comes to actually accessing services, then those that they left out sometimes are the ones that fall sick. And then they have now to play the trick, going to the hospital and actually making a plan or deal with the health workers, and they cover people who are not on the card. So that has affected the insurance companies a lot, because they end up actually paying bills for people who are not insured on the first place, but because there is that moral hazard between the health providers and the families themselves. So I think until we solve that problem, we are going to see those cumbersome processes, because people have to verify and be sure that actually the people accessing care or people being making a claim are the true people who actually paid for insurance. Without that, then you pay for ghost people who didn't join the insurance in the first place.
Of course, Mr. Makale, you talked about the likelihood of people, the likelihood of getting sick.
Yes.
And that brings us to community transmission of COVID-19. Yeah. It has already spread. Right now, from Saturday, 96, Sunday, 179, Monday, 145, Tuesday, 143. Yeah. The numbers keep on going. Now at 5,266. We are grappling with the community transmission. So the people who are likely to get sick, is there any incentive in the community insurance schemes that can help them, or those who are already grappling with the disease? Remember, government said if you want to be tested, you have to part with 240,500 shillings. Yeah. How many citizens can afford that money? Isn't that the part where community insurance schemes come in?
A lot more. Actually, we are trying to do, first of all, we have to admit that COVID came in when nobody expected. So we are not prepared to cover expenses related to COVID. Up to today, I think government has been helping. And that's what should be, that epidemics usually should be covered by the government. But because we are not testing, and because we are not sure who has caught the COVID or not, in fact, the community insurance schemes, I am sure, are treating symptoms or actually diseases related to COVID-19. And I think where the community insurance schemes have played a big role, first, we know that we have to reduce on the utilization rates. So we have gone ahead to provide some face masks to the people who are insured. We have given them education, we have advised them on how to manage social distancing and making sure they are safe. But those who are going to hospital, we are actually encouraging them to go early, so that if they are detected and tested that they have COVID, then we would call in the government to come in immediately and take over. We are not able to treat COVID. For example, we are in Luwero, Nakaseke, Nakasongola. These hospitals are not well prepared to handle COVID patients. So once we see a symptomatic case, we ask them first of all to report quickly, and then we are sure that once they are there at this facility and confirmed, then the state will take over. I think our role so far has been to educate our community members, make sure that they are facilitated to get to the hospital quickly because they have the insurance card. They don't have to look for money here and there. So that we are hoping that once people are able to go very quickly, we reduce the amount of time they spend in the community and therefore reduce on the spread. Because one of the biggest risks of spreading is when people are already sick and have contracted the disease and they are spending a lot of time in the community. And one of the reasons they spend a lot of time before going to the hospital is because they are looking for money. In the community insurance schemes, money has not been now an issue. They have the insurance card, so they go early. And we have educated them on the symptoms and the signs, so we encourage them to go early. And then we have worked out a program with our health facilities. If they detect a case or suspect a case, then quickly they involve the health authorities.
So you don't have to first get on your deathbed to seek medical help. I don't know why it's the case with so many of the Ugandans. You wait until you're so sick then you seek medical help.
But
if it's still a headache, they'll say, I'll just drink some water and I'll walk it off. But then, Mr. Bakari, would like to know, the viewer who is watching Morning at NTV right now, what is the criteria that is used before one joins the community health insurance schemes? How can these people access these services?
The criteria is simple. One, first of all, we target a family, because the idea behind insurance is protection. We want to protect a family from catastrophic spending. We want to help a family to access services much easily. So we target a family. That's the first criteria. Secondly, you must be living in a community, an area where we have a scheme. The reasons our community insurance schemes are referred as community is because they operate, or they are set up for people who have something in common. Either you are a tribe, a district, or a religious group, or you must have something in common. So this scheme then comes and brings you people together. Some people who are sharing something in common. And so that is the second criteria. You must belong to some social group which is close to each other, where you know that you can communicate, you know each other. And the main reason why we do that in a community insurance is because there is a lot of solidarity that happens within the insurance. People contribute very little, but actually they benefit according to what they need at that time when they are sick. So for that to happen, for people to accept, they must be knowing each other. They must have something in common. So that's why we go for a community arrangement where people have something in common. And then we mobilize them. Once they are mobilized, we educate them. That's the other criteria. And then they contribute some little money. In the community insurance, I will give you an example of what we do in Luwero, Nakaseke, and Nakasongola. A family contributes about 72,000 shillings. That's 6 people. Per head, that's 12,000 shillings. Literally, that's 1,000 per month, per person. And for that, once that is paid, then when they are sick during the year, every time they want to access healthcare, they can be covered up to 400,000 shillings. So it means that what you contribute is not what exactly you benefit from. You contribute little, then we get a pool of people together, and then you are assisted when you're sick.
Fred Makaire, thank you very much. Let me also bring in Alan Luanga. Is AO Insurance offering COVID-19 insurance?
So absolutely. So I think COVID has caused quite a spur in the industry. And you've got to be very careful how you say, are we offering it or are we not offering it?
Because other countries are not offering. You have countries where you have companies that are saying, there's so much uncertainty over the COVID-19 pandemic, so we cannot offer some kind of insurance on the same. So we were wondering, our local companies here, are we offering the same despite the uncertainty?
So the truth of the matter is, how do we support our insuring public in times of COVID? If you can generalize that kind of support and extend it to your insuring public, then obviously you're covering COVID. From IO, we have extended what we call illness now onto our package, offering. Yes. So what we're saying is somebody is hospitalized because of an illness, and for as long as they're able to spend 3 nights in hospital, they'll be compensated for all the costs that they've spent in the hospital. But the reason for this has come out of our understanding of what the general public is. You can imagine during COVID, people have paid for things like road risk. You've paid for your insurance, but your car is parked. You've paid for insurance, but you're not on a border because during that time we were grounded. So we then started sitting back and thinking, how are we going to support our people? Because they paid premium and they're not using this premium right now. That's how innovations like extending illness has come. But also you've got to understand the uncertainty of the pandemic caused quite a number of concerns for risk carriers. You couldn't, we didn't know where it was going, how many people are going to get sick, how many people are going to die or not. Ourselves, God forbid, if somebody passes on, we pay, regardless of what they pass on from. So whether they passed on from COVID, or whether they've actually caused, whether it's suicide, etc., we actually pay regardless of what they've died from. But the administration of that is what comes in now and says, do you have the power to administer? Because you can imagine, we're talking about COVID where 3,000, 4,000 people can fall sick at once. Yeah. Are they all going to go to service providers, give a card there, they check them, they say, do you have COVID?
That's the $64,000 question.
You see what I mean? So that's why you need now innovation, technology. We are saying now you dial *296# get onto your plan and see whether you can be helped. It's the only way you can reach out to the people. Otherwise, if you just come out as a traditional insurer today and say you're going to cover COVID, yes, you're going to cover it, but do you have the capacity? You have the capacity to reach millions and millions of people out there. It's very cumbersome.
Okay, we'd like to know how members of the community have responded to the products Makaire and Luanga are offering. A minute for both. We'd like to know.
I think we have made tremendous progress. We started our company in 2016, and we have up to 3 million Ugandans who are currently insured, which is a good thing. Our product is so easy. As long as you dial *296#, you get into our plan. So that's how easy it is. So
I think also the community members, despite the fact that they are struggling with poverty and low incomes, they are trying. Up to today, we have about close to 50,000 people covered on insurance, on community insurance schemes. And I think, the numbers are picking up. People are realizing how important it is to protect yourselves against risks.
If you ask so many experts, they would say now more than ever that we are dealing with the pandemic, more people should be enrolling for at least AO insurance or the community health insurance schemes, but we are not seeing that forthcoming. Maybe it has to do with the awareness, low penetration of these messages to create awareness among members of the public that we have a product that can help you in case you're grappling with COVID-19 or other ailments. Well, you're still watching Morning at NTV. My name is Romeo Busiku. We are going to take another break. We'll be right back with another conversation talking about the iron deficiency anemia, how it affects children and so forth. We'll be right back.